What is going on? What is going on? Everybody in the house, what is going on? Wake up in Cleveland every single morning.
I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it up.
What is going on? What is going on? It is Wake Up. It's Tech Thursday. It's Wake Up and Tech Thursday. It's a little bit of everything today. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I'm going to go over here and move my table down. So, there we go. Forgot my lights. It's one of those days. So, we are here. It is Thursday. It is 10:30. A little late start today. But we're going to get through this. We are going to get through this. Even if War and Peace won't shut up. We will. We will. You know, it's weird. So I I DJ'd on I don't know, with Kick. That's what it's called. It's called Kick. I DJ'd on Kick a couple nights ago. And I'm using the same setup. Literally the same setup. The only difference was I plugged in my turntables over like, you know, the Rain 4 or the Flex 10 I was testing on. I don't know what happened, but everybody was screaming, your microphone is overbearing. I didn't do anything. See, that's the joy of technology. You start something up, you think everything's fine, and then the world just falls apart on you. But that's not the worst part. The worst part of ever having technical difficulties is that DJs don't know how to shut the hell up. DJs want to fix everything. And a lot of times they can't fix anything because they don't know what's going on. Everybody's got an opinion. That's the joy of DJing. So, what is today? Thursday. So Tuesday, I posted a video of a DJ doing a blend. He did Pat Benatar Love Is a Battlefield into Jay-Z's I forget what it's called. Anyway, did his blend. It's a dope blend. When the beat dropped, it came in hard. It was good. Real like boom bap style DJing. The masses, oh, it's fire, it's fire, it's fire. The non-masses. Oh, bro, it's out of key, bro. Oh, you don't hear that? You don't hear that being out of key, bro? Thanks, T Diesel. I was literally going to say interlude because it is an interlude. But yeah. PSA. It's out of key, dude. It's out of key. And I'm just sitting there like, sounds good to me. You can't hear that? I can't unhear this. I don't understand why people just, and all these comments, right? And I keep thinking back. To before Serato. Before anything. Just back when, you know, we used to play these things. And I keep thinking back to how I used to DJ back when we used to play these things. I don't know why I always pull out the CB4 record. I have no idea. Baby Be Mine, CB4. It's always with me every time I grab a record. So, when I was growing up, cue the old head, comments. When I was growing up, I don't know, we found something we liked, and we said, you know what? It'd be cool if you could put this with this, put that with that. The only thing I was thinking about was making sure that I played on the drop, that I played on the bridge, that it was I don't know, on beat. There was no, weird train tracky type things. Coming in from the transition to, sorry, I'm seeing to coming in from the transition to taking it out. I'm sorry, my Windows PC wants to figure out a time to restart my computer because Windows is stupid. Let's do 12. Let's do 12:30. That way, I have to get off this thing before it gets too late. Okay. 12:30 it is. So if it just crashes on you, you know what happened. And you're like, what happened to Cleveland Terry? Yeah, his computer said get off. And then he got off. Oof, that was bad. Okay. So yeah, that was it. The one thing I never thought about when I was making music or transitioning or pulling in a new song, I never thought about key. Key never entered my mind. Was key a part of what I was doing? Sure. But it never entered my mind. Fast forward to today. And it feels like every single, I don't want to say every single person. There's a huge contingent of people that all they care about is mixing in key. That's all they care about. They don't care about the creativity of the track, the transition. They don't care about the wordplay. They just care that it's in the same key. Now, I say this knowing that there's several DJs that made comments that I know for a fact are amazing DJs. I say that knowing that a couple of them in particular are remixers and producers. So I know they're hearing it differently than others are. I get that part. I mean, I produced music for a long time, so I know when something seems weird. But sometimes, most times, impact succeeds the minutia. If what you're doing makes an impact emotionally, physically, on an event, on a showcase, you win. You win. If you're slightly out of key because for whatever reason, maybe one of the keys that are being played in the song goes off for a second. That doesn't mean the entire thing is out of key. It means you hear a note that's off. Again, jazz people have been doing it their entire lives. Affluent says, fuzzy key mixing has been a great tool. Digital DJ Tips has some insight on this. I think we're missing the point here. I do not put an emphasis on mixing in key. First off, your ears should tell you the majority of what's going on here. If you're DJing, you can kind of hear when a track doesn't go well together. Mostly the problem is not key. Mostly it's busyness. Mostly it is Um, there's weird drums and a timpani and and shakers, and you're trying to bring in something else, and it has a kind of a rock bass line or a grind bass line, and you're playing a smooth, sultry R&B bass line. Those are the things that I think about when DJing. I think about vibe. I think about flow. I don't think that, oh my God, these songs are not completely in key. I'm not looking at my keys. I'm not looking at my keys. If the key stops you, prevents you from transitioning, from bringing in a track, you are doing it the wrong way. I don't care what anybody says. That is my personal and professional opinion. Now, you can do what you want, but not trying new things that are gonna, put your mixes on a different plane. Not trying things because one says 6A and one says 4B. That's stupid. Give it a try. Because you know why? You want to know why? Because in general, we have been, as DJs, working around this issue our entire lives. Our entire lives. If you were bringing in a track and one bass line was really, really busy, or it was just there were so many notes within that bass line that when you were bringing in your new bass line, you had a conflict. You weren't thinking, oh, this is out of key. You were thinking, oh, that's too busy. There's too much going on here. So let me, EQ out some of this frequency, some of this noise. Let me remove the bass line completely, because that is the main thing that's causing my issue. That's normal. That's normal DJing. So when I hear people talk about it's not in key, all I can think of, and I've said this before, if you are only mixing in key, I mean, I'm assuming that means you're also mixing in key when you're doing one beat drops, mixes on the fly. It has to be in key. Well, if that's the case, then your sets are going to be extremely boring. I'm reading. Your sets are going to be boring. There's no way in the world anybody can just mix in key and have energetic sets. There's no way. There's no way. You're being limited. There's absolutely no way. They're going to be boring because nobody wants to hear, unless you're doing, long ass, I don't know, EDM stuff. Nobody wants to hear the same frequency all night. Nobody wants to. I'll give you a perfect example. Let me put this record up. I'll give you a perfect example. So you go to a movie, right? And it says, it's a drama with some action, right? Horror film, horror elements. And you go in there, and the majority of the movie is all just talking. There's no horror. There's no thrills. It's just there. And you're watching it like this. And you're thinking, I'm bored. I am bored. Are they going to do anything? Is anything going to happen? Let's flip-flop it. Now you go to watch an action film. You're like, this should be fun. It's full of action. My favorite characters are in it. You get there and you start watching it. And It's all action. There's no real story. It's just look how cool my action looks. 2 hours of action. You know what you're thinking? Wow, this is boring. I sure wish there was a story. I sure wish they could stop action for a minute to take a breather so we can kind of reset what I'm watching. That's mixed in key. I don't care what you're playing. If you're playing in key all the time, the entire time, I don't care if it's full of energy. I don't care if it's cool, just, background music. It's going to be boring. People respond. People react to different. They react to, oh, what did DJ just do there? What just happened? Oh, you know what? I like when he brought that other track in that was so different. It made me kind of stop and go, oh, what's going on? I like that he's telling a story with your music. Greg Black says you got to know your music and your crowd. This has absolutely nothing to do with it. That's just normal. That's rule number 1 of DJing. Know your music, know your crowd. Rule number 1. I'm not even talking about that. I'm going another level of the actual, choices, because you can know your music and you can play everything on that dance floor that the crowd knows and it's in key. And chances are you are going to have a boring set. Even if you are playing, what is considered to be the right music for that crowd. Because you're going to miss out on playing some tracks that are going to potentially push the crowd into a completely different level. But no, you can't play that track because it's in the wrong key. It's dumb. It's a dumb way of working. Now, you're doing some long form transition stuff and you want to do some mixed in key. Like, I get it. I'm not saying don't use mixed in key. I want to be clear about that. Different strokes for different folks. Some people aren't easily bored, right? So, Black Classic. To me, that sounds like you're arguing for mixed in key, if I'm reading that correctly, because that's a kind of a passive aggressive way of you saying that. That's what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong, but that's what I read when I read your text. So maybe go into a little more detail, and just to make sure we're both on the same page here. The song needs to be different enough to notice the change, but not so out there to startle them. Adrian, I don't know that I agree with that. I think that as a DJ, your job isn't to put them to sleep. Your job isn't to, your job is to keep the vibe, but your job is also to be a artist and to be a musician, put it that way. And if you're playing music and it's the same music and the vibe is cool and you want to wake people up, you got to change the rules. You can't necessarily change the rules without changing what you're doing. So sometimes you might be playing something, you echo out and you play something completely different. And they're like, whoa, what just happened here? And then wordplay is a perfect example. Not all wordplays, musically, rhythmically go together. But let's say you're trying to transition from something, super fast to something super slow and you want to be creative about it. Well, maybe your wordplay is what gets you there. They don't have to be in key. Wordplay does not require being in key. But if we're always mixing in key, then chances are can't really do wordplay because wordplay doesn't follow the same rules as the key does. Let's see here. Keith Just, we need to listen to some Thelonious Monk and Miles. So I brought that up. On somebody's comment. They're like, well, it just sounds bad. And, and somebody said, well, I said, well, look, you got to think of it as art, being artistry, and he's like, well, so what? It's okay to just play all the black keys and the white keys on the piano? I said, no, but jazz players have been playing between the keys for decades. And when they first started playing between the keys, people were like, what are you doing? That sounds off. That sounds off. And now it's a science. Jay Dilla. When Jay Dilla started, on the production scene, people were like, your beats are off. What's this dragging? This doesn't sound good. And a whole group of people were like, I love Jay Dilla. Now, it's a musical genre. Now, jazz players are playing like Jay Dilla. There are tons of bands that sound now with their beats like Jay Dilla. Rock bands, R&B bands, everything. Max SPL says, I go back far enough, people didn't even like the sound of major minor. Exactly. I am a minor lover. If a song is in a minor key, it just resonates with me. And you got your frequency. Everybody's got their frequency. Chris Royal, I feel like I'm a jazz musician. Oh, good. Look, I'm using an analogy. I understand that people aren't just, willy-nilly just, playing bad keys. I get it. The difference between a jazz player and a DJ is he's playing fixed music. So he doesn't have the opportunity to necessarily change, every so often random keys. Nobody's going to be doing that, flipping from key to key in Serato. Nobody's going to do that, but if a single note in your otherwise perfect transition or perfect blend hits, you'll survive. And the majority of people will be in love. The reason why I know the majority of people will be in love, because I saw it on the post when there was 700 people that liked the post and there was like 15 that hated it. So if 700 people, let's take this for a second. Let's take all those people, right? Let's put them into a club. 700 people in a club. You got a packed club. You're overpacked, right? 700 people in a club. You drop Love is a Battlefield into, public service announcement. 700 people. 685 people scream their asses off. 15 DJs stand there angry, mad dogging. Who comes out on top? Who comes out on top on that performance? And that's what I will say. That's how I will leave it. If the majority of people are like, that's dope, then it's dope. No matter how much you can't unhear the key. The majority of people liked it. So all I can think of is like, I get it if you're like, it's out of key. But when you are just vigorously angry that somebody's getting props for playing one note that's out of key, you are losing as a DJ. You're losing because it's completely out of perspective. It's completely completely out of perspective. You are taking an art form and you are trying to just like squeeze it into this one little box, this rule box. Nope. Everything must fit in here. This is what we do. This is how we do it. And nobody wins. Nobody wins that way. There are, for a fact, too many haters in the DJ community. There are too many haters in the DJ community. There just are. It is an epidemic. I have never seen so many people try to stop people from doing what they want to do and what they love. I have never seen this anywhere else. It is only DJs who hate on other DJs. It's sickening when you think about how this is. We are an art form. Go outside. Go to any other art form. And tell me, are they hating on their fellow artist like we do as DJs? DJ Farms, right? I know the guitar community can be, and maybe it has to do with, as I think about it, maybe it has to do with the fact that a lot of guitarists want to be lead guitarists, right? So they go through life. You are obviously not an audiophile. I would disagree with you. I produce in key. When I make music, it's in key. When I'm DJing, it has nothing to do with being an audiophile at all. Nothing to do with it. But people want to put it out there. People want to put you in a box. But I can kind of understand as a guitarist, because every guitarist kind of wants. No guitarist out there ever wanted to be the rhythm guitarist. Every single guitarist, look, I'm, taking a little creative license here, but every other guitarist wanted to be the lead guitarist, wanted to play all that stuff. Every guitarist. And I think that's kind of what a lot of these DJs think they are. They think they are lead guitarist. So they have to operate within the rules. DJs are hateful. DJs don't read. I put another video up. By the way, guys, if you would know all of this if you were following Cleveland Terry on Instagram at Cleveland Terry _. That's me. Post at least 2 to 3 times a week. Typically it's either informative or humorous. Like, that's kind of my thing. I love making skits. So after that post that I did about the DJ who did this mix, I made a video, a reel. My reel was basically the caption said things a client has never asked me before. Now, I'm not going to tell you all of it. I want you to go watch it because I think it's a well-made reel. I like to put a little effort into my reels. So, because what I'm going to tell you has nothing to do with the actual reel. I did all this stuff, and people were reacting to the video out of context. In other words, they took my reel, they took my story, and they made it theirs. Had they actually read the context, it would have dramatically changed the entire outcome of the reel. I'm doing double entendres, baby. Like, this is me. Multiple levels of production. That's how I roll. And so a lot of the comments are all these people. I can't believe a client would do that to you. I can't believe, blah, blah, blah. Completely out of context. That's how I feel about the DJs nowadays. And I know, look, DJs have always been haters. They're up there just kind of watching you and waiting for you to make a mistake. Oh, I would have done that. I wouldn't have done that. Like, I get it. It's a part of this weird competition. But had they understood context, the story would have made more sense. Now, take that and apply it to that off-key blend. Context is important. So, had I done that thing live, at a nightclub, majority of people would be like, why is he playing Pat Benatar in public service announcement? This is, I don't know how to feel about this. And then I'd beat drops in with the We Are Young. That entire crowd would erupt. And if I played that for my white clubs would go off. It would go off with that track. Context. The context is he's performing. I'm performing. DJs would be like, no, I don't think a DJ would be thinking that's out of key. In the crowd, with the energy, with the people screaming and singing the song, I don't think one DJ is like, this would have been good if it were in key. Couldn't you just drop it some semitones? I don't know. Did the impact turn out exactly how I intended? Then I did my job. Sorry to start your morning so better. But that would make an excellent podcast. I can tell you that much. When I go back and pull all these things up and start putting podcasts behind them. I mean, this is essentially what this is. This is a live podcast. I share my thoughts. We talk a little bit, go from there. Yeah, that's what we do sometimes. Okay. Now, you can take all that I said, and you can say, F off, I don't agree with you. I'm going to say, you have every right to. But I'm also going to say, from experience, from just DJing for a long ass time, I have never had one person, except for a DJ, ever tell me, but it's out of key. I've never had one person. You know what I have seen? I have seen people on the dance floor reacting to a bad transition. When you got tennis balls and shoes in the dryer, like I've heard that. I've seen people literally do this. I've seen that. What I have not seen is anybody stop and stare for a transition that was out of key. I've never seen that. I've been DJing for over 30 years, and I've never once seen that, ever. When you, speaking of, DJing, because it's one of the three elements, and, you got B-boying, you got, let's go to B-boys real quick, right? The joy of breakdancing and being a B-boy is, at least when I used to break, and I had my battle crew and everything. The fun, the artistry, not the artistry, but the connection was in the differences of the people. Like, there were people that could do certain things you couldn't do, and there were things that you could do that other people couldn't do, and that's what made you a crew, right? That's what made you whole as a B-boy crew. There have been tons of people tons of dancers and stuff that were maybe they were more flexible, or they had gymnastics skills, so they could do a lot of flips and things like that. And you had some b-boys that would, do up rocks and, footwork, and they were offbeat. I don't remember anybody ever saying that something. I don't remember as a b-boy ever talking to my friend like, "Oh, hey man, you'd be dope if you could just, get that footwork on beat a little more." Like, I don't ever remember doing that. I remember thinking, "Wow, that's amazing. He's doing something I can't do." That's what I would think. I don't know. I just think I think we do it to ourselves. I don't even think it is a all DJ thing, because I've seen female DJs. I know hundreds of female DJs that are dope AF. All right, like, now I'm not talking about just random DJs. Like, I know some super dope female DJs. You know what I don't see? I don't see a lot of female DJs hating on each other. I see a lot of female DJs coming together and supporting. I see female DJs, some that are amazing, some that are just starting out. Maybe they're not that good. And all the girls, they all support one another. In fact, they'll bring their bad DJ friend to a nightclub and say, "Oh, they're going to open for me." That's what I see. That is the only thing that I see. I don't remember the last time I saw a female DJ talking trash about another DJ. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. And I mean, I'm talking people that are like super dope, middle of the line, but I've never seen it. Ever. But I see it all the time with dudes. All the time. We are literally our own worst enemy. The Rocket said, mixing and key usually most applied when playing house and EDM, vocal driven pop, not pop, hip hop, and R&B, not even close. Most of the transitions we make at my residency aren't in key. Yeah, agreed. Mistress B says, we are a minority and support our circle. Yes, you do. I did we've done production, back end work for DJ City / Beat Source. And anytime they have their like DJ City, come togethers, and they have the women, I've seen them. I've seen regular DJ shows, female shows, female only shows, where we were like the only dudes there because we were, putting together a photo booth or sound or monitors or something like that. Latin meetups. I've never. Although they haven't had a black meetup. Interesting. You got a Latin meetup, you got everything meetup, they got a female meetup, but anyway, I kid with them. I love them. But what I remember from seeing all of these meetups, all of them, and we did, at least 10 events for them. What I remember is watching the female meetup, the ladies meetup, and how, first off, packed. All females all came out. They had their panels. Everybody was deeply focused and into it. Everybody was loving on everybody. It was just a good time. So it would be amazing if we could see more guys supporting. I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one that's out there supporting my fellow DJ. And I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be unrealistic. I've walked into plenty of places where the DJ was just okay, or where it's just flat out bad. I've seen that. I've also seen where the DJ is amazing. The outcome is still the same. Somebody did something or worked on something to get there. So I can't be mad at that person because he got that gig. He doesn't deserve that gig. That should have been me. Well, if it should have been you, then it would have been you. Stop blaming other people for your shortcomings. Stop blaming other people for getting stuff because they worked harder than you. Figure out how you can make that happen yourself. DJing is a competition if you are doing DMC or 3-style. It's not a competition on yourself. You are your own competition. You are trying to get better and better. You are trying to improve every time you DJ. I've been DJing for 30 years and I still learn. I still learn. Watch new DJs. Watch their styles. Oh, that's what they're doing now. All right, let me modify my DJing to bring it more current. Like whatever. Be a student of your art form. You know, any DJ that is like, I've reached the top, I'm good, and doesn't look at any other DJ for the next 10 to 15 years, there's absolutely no way that DJ is DJing well. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying from a critical standpoint you aren't DJing fundamentally correct. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that from a current perspective, you're probably doing a lot of things that people don't like. For instance, you may be playing music that everybody hates now. There's a reason that when you pull up Do Not Playlist, they say stupid stuff like, don't play Macarena. Don't play, I don't know, Livin' La Vida Loca. You know, don't play Celebration. And you're thinking to yourself, that's interesting. I would never play that. Why is this even on the list? Why? Because somebody out there is playing it. Some current party your client went to and DJ was playing some old ass stuff. And they weren't trying to be ironic with it. That's in their standard mix. So there are tons of DJs that aren't trying to improve their craft. Tons of DJs. They've made it, they hit the top, and that's it. The top for DJs is a moving goalpost. It is impossible for you to be on top forever. There are amazing old school DJs that when you listen to them now, sound dated. Sound like the era they came from. Are they doing a bad job? No. But clearly, they have stopped learning. They have stopped wanting to learn. The way I DJ'd in 1998 is completely different to the way I DJ now. Completely different. You gotta do the work. Stop blaming other people. Look into yourself and figure out what you need to do. Anyway. I didn't plug in my Ember, so I got to use this thing, and it's already cold, and I'm already annoyed. Try to keep some heat in here. Okay. Let's look at some comments. I do see a couple from some people. I don't even know if I can go back that far, but we're gonna check anyway. And let's see. See what happens if I go all the way up. Okay. Benny Maldonado is enjoying his Flex 10. Good job. I sent mine back. They needed it because of NAM, so it all went back. But it's a good board. It's a good board. Okay. Let's see here. Kevin Bradby said, well, that's the same with us, DJs that mix based on BPMs. Yeah, based on BPMs is exactly the same. If you take your playlist and then hit sort and you're only playing music based on BPM, you're not listening to based upon vibe, based upon energy, based upon sounds. Yeah, it's the same concept. Train wrecks, same concepts. You know, you can't. If you're trying to get to rock music, you don't start. If you are playing groovy house, you're playing "Break My Soul," right? Beyonce. That's a perfectly fine baseline driven track. And you want to get to rock. You can't go from "Break My Soul" to whatever rock EDM track you were doing. You need a spacer. You need a transition song, because transitions are everywhere. Transitions are not just from one song to the next. Transitions are from one genre to the next, one BPM to the next. These are all transitions. And just because something's in the same BPM doesn't mean they go together. So if you are playing Break My Soul and you need to go into, like, I don't know, Foo Fighters, right? You're not going to play Break My Soul into Foo Fighters because that's tragic. That's not going to work, right? But you can go Break My Soul into, I don't know, Flow Ride Is in the Air. It's got kind of that rockish kind of bass line that's there. That way you can play, you know, I Love It by Iconopop, kind of grimy driven music. So when you do transition to the Foo Fighters track, it made sense. You told a story, it flowed together. That's DJing. That's DJing. But there are tons of people that will go from that to Foo Fighters just because they both say 128 in the column. That's a problem. Okay. All right, let's see here. Yeah, that's funny, Philip. That is funny. Okay. To be in the quote unquote safe zone, I start from low BPM and slowly move to a higher BPM, but usually don't go from high to low. Yeah, it is definitely an energy thing. If you're going to go from high to low, you're better off either having wordplay or having a transitional track that goes into something. You definitely should not just slam, 128. Because look, there's ways to get around going down. You can go up to go down. You get what I'm saying? So let's say you're starting off at 100 beats per minute, right? And then slowly over, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, you've gotten from 100 all the way up to like 115, and now you're at the 120s and the 128s, and now you're in a kind of a Goldilocks zone, right? After you get to 128, 130, you can bring it up to 140 and then start at 70 on the other side and then come from 70 up to 80, up to 90. And now the energy level has not changed at all. Okay, I'm going to say something real quick. And I'm saying this in the most loving way because I love everybody for hanging out today and watching. There's one thing I will say. We can just do away with this statement altogether. And I've seen it a couple times, so I'm not just picking on Phasm. A lot of people say this. Depends on the crowd. Yes. Of course it does. It always depends on the crowd. It never does not depend on the crowd. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. The crowd should dictate how you DJ. So we said it. We can move on now. We can move on. Because I've watched major DJs play the same crowd and have completely different reactions. Seen it. I've seen it. Speaking of NAMM, I went to NAMM and a few years ago when BPM Supreme used to do their like Thursday night big night. It had all the DJs. It would be like DJ Angelo and Scratch Bastard and all of these DJs. And I was watching one. I'm not going to say any names, but all I will say is there were a couple that were on there that clearly did not get the response that they thought they were going to get. The one person who got a response from every single person in the crowd, DJs, just regular guests, people just came to have a good time. The one DJ that made everybody happy, Scratch Bastard. He was technically amazing. He was musically amazing. It wasn't just about DJing and showing tricks and look at all these things I can do. It was about the vibe. Scratch Bastard, one of the tops. Still learning. I remember Scratch Bastard when he kind of first came on the scene. He was nowhere near the quality that he is today. And he was good then. But the one thing I remember when I used to watch him DJ early on, I kept thinking, yeah, I mean, he's a great DJ. He just, I don't know, he doesn't have that swing that I'm looking for. Like it's not as soulful as I would want it to be. You know, like even the way he brought things in, the way he scratched, like everything was kind of quantized to like one bar. So as I watched him, I noticed a soulfulness, a swing that came into his DJing, and now, I mean, the man is one of my favorites. One of my favorites. Why? Because he's always learning. Always learning. Patrick C says his vibe is best with other DJs. I've never seen Scratch Bastard, and I can say this honestly, I've never once heard him say one negative thing about any other DJ. In fact, I think he prides himself on really, trying to call out extras, trying to, put more light on other DJs. Because once you get to a certain point, you don't need validation because you're not an idiot. I mean, these people that talk about, well, I don't even know that people love me. Oh my God, thank you for it's like, come on, let's stop the bull. We're not a Swiftie. This isn't Taylor Swift receiving her 19th Grammy saying, oh my God, I didn't see this coming. Shut up. Like, that's a lie. That is a flat out lie. We know, where you are. Scratch Bastard understands how dope he is, but it's not about him. It's about what he brings to everybody else. Because that's what you should do. The better you get at something, the more you should be trying to help other people, bring other people up, because when the culture wins, everybody wins. That's the way he works. That's the way I work. I do these shows. I do the videos. I do all these things to help people. I don't need to help people. I want to help people, but I don't need to. I honestly, this does nothing for me besides letting me talk randomly and just be in power. But you know what I'm saying? It does nothing for me. And I'm the first. I've actually done this, especially during the pandemic, when we first got into the pandemic and everybody and their mama was DJing. And I remember having some, it's like some social influencer friends that were DJing. And as I would talk to them, I would get different responses. If you brought something up, right? I would get different responses. One of the funniest responses that I ever got was that a social influencer said, when we were all DJing once, and then we kind of got back together and we were talking, and people were like, "Oh, CT, you're a good DJ, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Hey, thank you." But there was a direct reaction from one that was like, "Well, I don't DJ like Cleveland Terry, so that I DJ the way I DJ." In other words, he needed some work. He needed some help, and some of the things that we were kind of talking about, him improving, because we just want everybody to be better, right? And he was like, "Yeah, I don't DJ like you." Like, I'm not telling you to DJ like me. I'm telling you that there are things that you can improve. But if you automatically go, "Well, I don't DJ like you," you've already shut down. You've already said, I do what I do. That's what you're saying. So I can't really help you. Okay, walk away. Cool, whatever. But then I had another guy, and I watched his set, and I noticed some flaws. I noticed some things that were fixable. But you have to be willing to absorb. So after his set, I texted him like, "Hey man, I noticed that you were doing this. You might want to do this, because I think this is where your failure points are. This is where you're screwing up." And he was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." Went back. I watched him, the following week, those things were gone. Made him a better DJ, because he wanted to learn. He wanted to get better. When you stop wanting to get better, is when you fail. When you fail. Because as human beings, we will never reach that status. But we can keep working towards it, keep improving, keep receiving knowledge, keep helping people. Don't worry about them taking your damn gig. Okay. Dana, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. DJ Lopes. He hates when I call him Lopez. By the way, buy me this sign, which I still need to plug in. I've been having some weird electrical problems where if I plug too many things into my room here, I've flipped the breaker off a couple times. Jay Book in the building. I don't recall putting anybody on blast. I think I just threw out a very vague and ambiguous story. You're the one making it personal. When I get to, Lope says, when I get to 135, depending on the energy of the song, I will select the next song to be between 65 to 70. Any feedback? No. No, that's exactly what you should do. You can go, there's so many ways you can go, but there's tons of music at 65, 70 that will flow perfectly. And you change the audience, you change the vibe, change the energy level, and you haven't had to do anything dramatic, it's impressive. Anyway, yeah, do your thing. Any DJs that come to me and ask tips, I will get out of my way to share, as you should. I mean, I've said this. I can tell everybody, the secret to living forever. Hey, I just found this out. If you do this, this, and this, you'll live forever. There'll be somebody like, I don't know. I mean, you could just try it and just see, where's your proof? Where's your science? Nerd this, nerd that. A lot of people don't like to improve if somebody else help them get there. They got to do it all by themselves. They got to do it on their own. You know what's funny? Nobody does anything on their own. You always need some help. Cold World says, do gold XLRs make any difference in sound? Audio files will tell you yes. Regular people will tell you you're not going to hear it on pretty much any non-audio file system, which is facts. DJ Farns with the $10 super chat. Appreciate you. Making others better every week. Rising tide raises all boats. Exactly. Metro, have you the comparison between the Rev and the Rain 4? No, I have not. I mean, but I do have videos on both of them. So I'm just saying, you could deduce from both videos how I feel about both of them. I know most people won't for whatever reason. They need me to just flat out say, get this, get that. This is the first time in a long time that I've received products from competing companies that were both solid. Usually there is like a dramatic difference in hardware. And I'm not talking about, it's always Pioneer or it's always Rain or it's always Denon. I'm just saying usually there's like something that's like a deal breaker. I don't know. For whatever reason, these manufacturers love to like make an almost perfect piece of hardware and then do something so stupid that you're like, why would you do that? You ruined your product. So this is the first time with the Rain 4 and the Flex 10 that I'm like, they're both good. Now, of course, yeah, there are some subtle and glaring differences, but in general, as a whole, they're both good. If you were using either one of them, I think you'd be absolutely fine. And it really comes down to an idea, an attitude about how you like to DJ. The one thing about the Flex 10 for me, the biggest thing for me is the fact that I'd have to go back to the mix effects strip versus the paddles. I'm a paddle guy. Well, I said this a couple of weeks ago. Look, I'm not moving to any new hardware because the Rev 7 for me is exactly what I wanted. And for people that tell me, oh, it's too cramped, dude, I don't know what the hell you are DJing with. I don't know what you're doing. Are you laying on your equipment? I don't know. But to say that the Rev 7 is cramped is asinine, especially with the Rain 1 on board. You want cramped, the Rain 1 is cramped. So, like, perfect example. The Rain 1 came out, then the Rev 7 came out. Night and day difference. Night and day. But the Flex 10 and the Rain 4, I had to send the Flex 10 back, but I still have the Rain 4. And I was actually using it for the last couple of weeks here. I flipped it out. You can't really see it, but my turntables are on here because I'm doing a couple of gigs and I'm DJing a gig on April 1st. And when I asked the guy, what equipment are you using? He's like, oh, we use an S11 and 1200s. So I wanted to get back to. I hadn't worked on my turntables in a long time. Hadn't done that. I've been using the Rev 7, so close, but not the same. And I feel like anytime you DJ someplace, you should probably know the equipment they're using because it's gonna affect your performance. So I just needed to get my hands right for the size of the platters. Everything else, I mean, the S11 and the Rev 7 are virtually the same when it comes to like how things work, but it's the platters. And it's the fact that the one thing that I changed as soon as it became available, I am not a +8 guy. I'm not a ±8 guy. I'm a +16 guy. That's how I roll. I don't give a crap what you think. I'm a +16 guy. Make my life easier. There's a reason why we have pitch adjust and automatic pitch and all of these things, because you can go farther off. The rule of thumb back in the olden days, back when we used to DJ with vinyl, was you didn't go over like 2 or 3 lines on a turntable. So let's see, we're sitting at a unity right here. As a rule of thumb, at least the way I learned, was you basically, this is about as far as you would go before it's sounding like crap. Because remember, no pitch control. So if you sped up the song, you're speeding up the key, not just the tempo. So if you wanted it sounding like Chipmunks, you push it up to +8. But most people, 2 to 3. 2 to 3 is maximum. It's not like that anymore now that we have key adjust. So why are we sticking to the old rules just because? So I'm a +16 guy. I don't do +50 or anything like that. And mainly I don't do +50 unless I'm doing like a severe, like my own manual transition where you're going, I don't know, 100 to like 130 and you've got your own little thing. Maybe then you throw everything on sync and you pull everything up or down. But in general, I don't go past +16. +50, the reason why I don't like doing +50 is simple. I don't like the resolution in between micro adjustments. It's just too big. You do one little millimeter and you're up like 15 BPMs. So anyway. Okay. All right. I just tried Tidal and Serato 3.04 and it's working fine here in the US. Let's see what we've been talking about here. Tidal not working in Serato today. Well, I happen to be in Serato. And I'm in Tidal. So let's see. Tidal. Love is a battlefield. And nope. There, my title just popped up. Let me try to load it. It loaded just fine, and there you go. Working just fine. Okay. Philip Sand says, I really like to see something like those OLED pad displays on future flagship controllers. I agree. That is it's a very, very cool feature. I liked it first when I saw it on the Rain 72. I just didn't like the 72 as much. But it makes total sense on those pads. I know people are like, well, they're really small. Why would you want those? It's like, they're very informative, even though they're small. And knowing what your samples are, knowing what your hot cues are, like, I don't know. I think they did a good job on that. It's a good board. The Flex 10 is I said the Flex 10. The Rain 4 is a good board. You'd be happy with either one of them. But like I said, there are certain things that I do like better on the Flex 10 versus on the Rain 4 and vice versa. I like the implementation, I like the extra abilities on the Flex 10. Like, for instance, on the Rain 4, when you do a split stem, and it goes from track 1 and track 3. That's all you can really ask for, right? Sure. But on the Flex 10, I can choose not only where I want the track to load, because you can't do that on the Rain 4. You're limited when you hit that button to it only being on the track next to it. So I can choose where I want to put that track. And I can also choose which stem I want to even send over there. Because maybe I don't want to do the acapella. Maybe I want to do just the drum beat and then do some beat juggles. Maybe I want to do something like that. Not saying that anybody would use it on the Flex 10, but you have those options. You don't have those options on the Rain 4. Another thing that I really do like about the Flex 10, a simple thing, but it's kind of valuable. That is the stem effects, which are not on the Rain 4. So the stem effects basically means if I throw on an EQ, if I throw on a transpose or a beat loop, I can affect just whatever I choose. So if I only want it to be on the acapella, I just make sure the acapella is the one that's still lit up. And anytime I activate my effects, it's only applying the effects to whatever stem I've set up. That's wonderful. That's one of my favorite things. That's something that I feel like people use all the time. So but they both have some great things. I mean, they don't have any glaring weaknesses like before, where people would make excuses for like the Rain 1. They don't have any of those. They're just good. Fader is very good. Platters are good. The stems, everything's good. Everything's good. Except for the fact that they removed the XLRs on the booth. Not happy about that. The Flex 10 always had 1/4 inches. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Mixmaster G in the building. Happy Rekordbox 4. So, yeah, obviously I didn't download it. I didn't do anything with it. I will use it. I will test it out. But I don't really have an urge right now. Don't ask me why. I just don't have an urge. I do love what Rekordbox is doing. I do love what they're doing. My single issue with Rekordbox 6.0 is that I cannot stand the fact that you have to pay for the Dropbox integration. At least that's the way it used to be. I don't know if they've changed it, but that was how it started out. I'm not in Rekordbox nearly enough to know how their subscription plan works. But that's my one thing. Like, it's not like I am paying for Dropbox and it's giving me Rekordbox, drive. I have to have Dropbox, then I have to pay to use the very Dropbox that I already had. Anyway. XLRs are the best quality and sturdiness. Yeah, they are. For me anyway. And they're easier to couple. Have you heard the new Ellie Goulding song, Miracle? I have not. If you play with the tempo, she sounds like The Weeknd. Okay. All right. I saw Ellie Goulding. She was at a bar mitzvah that I was doing. They paid for her to perform there. Her and Charlie Puth. Her and Charlie Puth. You can use a free trial Dropbox. Free limit 10 tracks, creative, no limit, pro audio, pro auto. 10 whole tracks, huh? Some of you DJs out there, that'd be just enough for you to get through your set. Too soon? DJ Farm says, I struggle with the waveforms constantly repainting in Rekordbox when using stem, so distracting. I do believe you can turn that off in the settings. But they all do. They all repaint when you activate stems. Let's see here. I'd have to open up. Am I plugged in HDMI here? I gotta find my HDMI. Okay. How much was that? Do I think? Well, I have been privy to certain. I performed with DJ Khaled. He came out and did the grand entrance for a super rich friend. And when I say super rich, to some of the nicest people I've ever met, some of the most honest and upfront people I've ever met. So this was their second event with us. And the first event didn't have any artists, but when I tell you it was probably one of the most amazing parties, the most amazing setups and design of a room that I've ever been in, I mean it. Yeah, we're not talking right now. I honestly mean it. The kid was into like computers, so the entire dance floor looked like a motherboard. The entire dance floor, and everything was like computer. It was just amazing. It's hard to describe, but it looked exactly like a motherboard. That one was just big. There was like 500 people for this bar mitzvah, and I remember it like it was yesterday because it was the one time, we had MCs and dancers and all those things, and we got to the opening dance set, and it was a great party. We got to the opening dance set, and obviously we knew this was happening. The food service was late because there was 500 people, and they weren't ready for food. It was going to take a little time, is what they said. So, we're playing background music while we thought food was coming out. Okay. After about 10 minutes or so, people are at the bar, people are talking. The noise volume is louder than your background music. You ever want a pro tip? That's when you know that it's time to change things up, typically speaking. If like you're playing and people are chatting and they're getting loud and they're over speaking your music, that means they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, which means they're not eating. Because if they were eating, it'd be considerably quieter, right? But there's no food on the plates, so they're chatting and they're trying to talk over things, and the energy is what it is. So, I said, I'm not going to wait for food. If I wait for food, who knows when that food's going to come out, and it's going to screw everything up. So I just started. I started slowly, making the music a little more energetic, and sure enough, 2 people come on the floor, 10 people come on the floor, and the next thing you know, there's 200 people on the floor. And when I tell you that once I got them on the floor, I DJ'd for another hour and 15 minutes. Keep in mind, food was supposed to be out. Hour and 15 minutes. Food finally came out. Some people ate it. Some people didn't. People didn't care. But my point is, had I just, okay, it's dinner time, and then just played the background music, went outside, took a smoke break, went to the bar, that party could have turned to shit. It wouldn't have been my fault. It could have been, it was just okay. I mean, we didn't really do much. kind of waited for the food. That's when waiting for the food is a complaint versus, oh, food served? Because now you're sitting there going, and then we waited for our food for an hour. The bar was packed. There wasn't enough bars and blah, blah, blah. And, the DJ wasn't playing anything, all of these things. But because I got them on the floor, they danced their asses off. Food came out. Now it's the best party they've ever been to. So after that party, when she had her second, now it was a bat mitzvah, so it was a girl. She was like, I need something different. This girl is way different than my first son. And she was like, so I'm thinking about bringing in a guest. I said, okay, cool. She's like, so I don't know who I'm looking for. I'm thinking about maybe Khaled or something like that. Like, I love how rich people think. They're just like, I don't know, maybe I'll just go ahead and get DJ Khaled. I don't know. And it's just like, oh, okay. And so she copied me for whatever reason on the emails, on the contract negotiations for this artist, for Khaled. I'm not going to say the number, but I will say that for most people, it would be your annual salary. Now, the thing about Khaled that I really did appreciate, he was only contracted to do like the opening dance set, come in for the grand entrance. After the grand entrance, he comes in, he performs. Then I think he was supposed to perform for like 20 minutes or a half hour. First off, he DJ'd for like, I don't know, maybe another hour or so. And then he just stuck around. And I thought he was going to leave after like, an hour or so after, signatures and pictures and all that stuff. We were down to like the last hour and I looked to the side and he's still there chatting it up. Like, if you're going to get paid to do nothing, basically, at least put the time in, put the effort in, make them feel like what they paid for made sense. And I know once you're that rich, it doesn't really matter, but still, I think it's something you should do. Okay. George Munoz, I've said this thing 40,000 times, but you got to look up a guy by the name of DJ Solstice on IG. He makes these signs, and honestly, there's tons of signs now, man. I mean, you can go to Etsy and people will have tons of these that they make, but I trust Solstice. We've had several signs made. They've all been fantastic. So DJ Solstice. Okay. Well, DJ Farns, if yours is set to high, if your drawing rate is set to high, that means you're going to see every minor change. Every minor change if it's set to high. You might want to drop it to like middle so it kind of slows a little bit. But I still like the refresh to be faster like Serato or VDJ. Yeah, I get it. Let's see here. I mean, the one solution, the simple solution would be to not even care about what's on the screen. Just remove them. Just remove the waveforms. I mean, do you really need the waveforms? Honestly. I will show you something. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this real quick.
This is a journey into sound. This is a journey. This is a journey into sound.
Yep. All right. I'll call you back. All right. Peace. Sorry about that, people. I've been waiting on this call for a while now, so I did need it, and I've been waiting on another call from another person. Let's see if they called me. No, I love the people that are like, you need to call me, you need to call me, you need to call me. I gotta book this, blah blah blah, and then you call me like, oh, I'm too busy, let me call you back, and then they just don't call you back. Like that's dumb. So what I was saying was, all right. So, like, say for instance, for me, this WAV file right here is non-existent to me. I don't even see it. It doesn't exist. I would rather it not even be on there. But here's the problem: by spacebar, this I can't stand, and I can't stand this because I can't see my cue point naming. That's what I need. I need to be able to see this because, in certain cases, depending on, what it is, I don't know. I might need to know that the way a song's coming in. I'm trying to see here. I know there's nothing on this one. When they're normal, I don't really care, but depending on what it is, all right, let me go into my folder here. Let's see if I have any labels. I don't have labels on a lot. See, that's the start. That's the 1 bar in. And then that's the bass drop part. I'm trying to see. A lot of times what I will do, and of course I'm doing everything that I would normally not do. That's so funny. I got no labels in. For instance, this one says snare in because on the track, it goes right into there. If I thought that this beat was on the 1, like this beat, then if I'm playing a track and I go to hit the beat, it's going to be off. So I give myself little things like that just in general, but I don't do all of the tracks. I just think that that's too much. But like if there's something I'm trying to find, it's weird that I don't have okay, here's one. So, Belle Biv DeVoe, you got the snares. I have Girl I Must. Now, I could have said, vocals in, but that Girl I Must, I know exactly how it's starting. It's starting on the G and not necessarily on the beat, So, or Driving Me. Like, I know that's the part. We all know the part. I don't have to say it. Anyway. Yeah, but I don't have enough labels on stuff. And I pulled everything and, well, that's another story altogether. Interesting. See, this one should say how deep because it's going to come in on the 2 beats before the beat kicks in. Actually 4 bars, 4 beats. So it just depends. It just depends. Huh. Anyway. Thought I had more. Okay. So let's get back to any type of questions. But this view is hard. That view is hard. This one I like. I can't stand horizontal. I feel like that just takes up way too much unnecessary space. And because I'm not using it anyway, it's silly to even care about it. So that's the best for me because I can see all my things and, active mode here. And yeah. And then spacebar takes you right to library, in case you guys didn't know that. Okay. If you could DJ for professional or amateur sports teams, would you? I mean, I have before. It's all the same. DJing is DJing. There's no different at all. Catherine Cat's Groove Miller. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for hanging out today. Appreciate you. Do you know which song? How do you know which song to put in each crate? I don't understand that. Oh, that's a whole different story, Queso. Because everybody's different. But I mean, I can kind of briefly give you kind of how I do things. First off, I do have a check 1 2 folder. The check 1 2 folder for me is basically anything that I play on my parties on a kind of everyday basis. You know, things that I will use. So if I drop down to I mean, we got event music. That's nothing. That's if something popped up that I need to do. So let's not worry about that one. Because if we open it up, event music, we got the ceremony, we got dinner. If this is stuff that they requested, you know, certain things for events, like this might be father-daughter, and then a mother-son dance, all of that. If we drop down to opening crate, these are just tracks that I would play right when we open the door. So I know most of these tracks will work for door openers, and I can just kind of literally throw a dart at it and the songs will work. Gotcha. Then we have a split the crowd when we're trying to do the grand entrance, and all these songs just like kind of breakbeat tracks that the MC can talk over, but we'll have, you know, good energy with it too. Then the hora, obviously, honor dance, obviously, background music and stuff I'll play when people are eating or like right when we kind of start to send people to their tables. And then I have something called an adult pop crate. Now, the adult pop crate for me is everything that works for adults. So I got rock, I got R&B, I got hip hop, I got pop. It's all here. Tracks that just work in general. So, you know, I got some Gwen Stefani, I got some Justin Timberlake, got some Lauryn Hill, some Mariah Carey, some Nelly, some Spice Girls, some Jonas, some Minaj, Kelly Clarkson, Flo Rida, Don Omar, Chris Brown, Black Eyed Peas. So a little bit of everything. What I don't have on this folder is I Got a Feeling. That's the one thing I don't have, and that's not going to happen. You know, Pitbull, Maroon 5, all of the stuff that I'm going to play during a kind of everybody's on the dance floor dance set. All of them. So I keep them all in the same folder. There's no point in shifting around just because. Then I get a little more granular in my kit stuff because that's kind of a big deal. That's kind of a big deal for, you know, depending on what I'm playing. I might go to a spot where the kids are all into ratchet hip hop. They might be, you know, a bat mitzvah and they love all pop, you know. And then I have this thing, which is kind of a hybrid of all of them. They don't see that it says hype shit, obviously, but I do. And for me, this is all the stuff that I know that the kids, boy, girl, everybody, if they want like, you know, the fire tracks, you know, this is the stuff that I'm going to play all in here and it will work. Again, you know, knowing your music obviously helps. If the kids are not into everything, but they just want like ratchet, then I'm in this folder, you know, and it works. TikTok obviously is exactly what it is. You know, I keep a folder just for the TikTok stuff if I need to drop something to keep everybody entertained. Then I have all the way down to, you know, follow songs. These are all the songs you follow, the wobbles, the watch me's, the, you know, all the stuff, cha-cha slides, all of that stuff. Cocktail mixes. These are things I play during, sometimes during dinner, most of the time during cocktail. I have multiple versions. I think it's very, very important that you don't have just one cocktail mix because that's going to stagnate and it's going to just suck the life out of it. So I have several mixes except for Power Trip. That should not be in there. I'm not really sure why that's in here. And they're all different. And they're all very, very different. Like this one's more of like an acid jazz one. This is more like kind of a pop one. This is definitely more kids, and then this is a custom one that I made for a client, which has like a whole bunch of like uh 60s and 70s bands mixed with hip hop, all that stuff. Okay. This is my, and then we dropped down, we got EDM, I got Israeli, I got Motown, I got disco, I got a funk playlist, I got an 80s playlist, 90s dance I'm still working on because I have multiple folders for that. So I'm just kind of putting stuff in slowly but surely. I got a 2010 rock playlist, which is making a comeback. So you might want to know, some of that stuff. And then as I drop down, then I have my own vibes. Like Kaytranada, this is shit that I listen to and I play when I'm not playing like regular people stuff. Kaytranada and Groove House kind of go together, but Groove House is kind of a different vibe. And then I got my hip hop, and we're working through all this right now. But 90s hip hop, 2000s, Latin hip hop. I kind of break it down that way. Boom bap. Boom bap is the thing. So having all that. I got woman's R&B, which basically just stuff that I know the girls are going to dance to. And all of it is just all, kind of sing along stuff. So like I said, I'm working through my boom bap, but as you can see here, I got multiple photos of boom bap that I'm trying to consolidate. And then I have any mixes that I've done that are solid, that I keep. You haven't even been looking at that. Sorry, guys. What I was saying up here is, I got my Kaytranada vibes, which is one way. And Kaytranada vibes means anything that I feel has a Kaytranada vibe. Doesn't have to be Kaytranada. And then the same thing with my Groove House. This is all my kind of slow, not slow, but like melodic bass driven music. That's kind of what I'm into. Then you got my hip hop, you got your 90s hip hop, all that stuff, your 2000s hip hop. Still working through cleaning this stuff up, but it's all working through. And then my women's R&B, which is all like stuff that women will like and sing along to. That's the key. All this stuff works every day, all day. But you do need a more recent one because this is more like, early to mid 90s, but you still need a 2002. So I have another one called Ladies Night, and my Ladies Night one is a lot of this, but a lot of new stuff too. Again, the boom bap, and I was talking about the mixes. If I did a mix that I really liked, and some of these need to be gotten rid of, then I keep it if it's a good mix, because like I can always go back to it. And no, you don't see key at all. Benny the Jazz Fernie, New Era, that was a kind of a 2000s club. So as you can see here, 2000s music. Cut It, Party Like a Rock Star, Not Give You Bucks, Cyclone, Hot Boys, Snap Your Fingers. Like all of this stuff is 2000s hip hop. All of it. And it all works. Tipsy, all of this stuff. So I keep several. I keep all of my mixes that are good. And then let's see here. I got another one right here. This is another 2000s one. It's basically a variation of that folder. This is when I went a little more custom to what I was doing. And ever since I started pulling things in, some of them are no longer in key, or not in key, but in order, in my DJ order. Then I got club again, and I'm working through this one right now because I have several club gigs this month of April. But I got some Punjabi, Latin, and then all my breakouts, merengue, bachata, salsa, banda, all that. Club bangers. This is outdated. I rarely even go into this. I got to clean it up. And then Taco Tuesday. That's like Taco Tuesday is like my kind of like my Hispanic. I did a Hispanic playlist for once, and Taco Tuesday. That's what I called it. It's probably racist. I know. Again, ladies' night, same thing. Stuff that they will know, stuff that they will sing to. All girls. Look. When it's all said and done. Remember when you are DJing, and this took me a while a while to truly understand. Yes, you are DJing for the people. Yes, you are. But the people you need to be DJing for are the ladies. DJ for the ladies. Your party will always rock. Always. So I focus a lot on that part of it. You know, because dudes will dance to anything as long as the ladies are on the dance floor. If the ladies are on the dance floor, your party's trash. Yeah. And then I have some specialized ones. It's called The Floor, because there used to be kind of a Latin hybrid club that I DJ'd called The Floor. But now anything that's kind of eclectic, kind of cool, I will definitely put in here. But now this Floor one has turned into Utopia, which is over here. This is all groovy, soulful house. You know, stuff that I love. Anyway, okay. I think that's about New Year's Eve. Has a whole bunch. This was a client request. I can get rid of that, but she's gonna call me back, so I want to make sure I have it. I did this mix at Harvest of Sound. It's a Jersey mix. Had fun with it, so I keep it. I need to move that into my mixes also, and then all my Latin stuff. And I'm moving it over, as you can see. I have that same folder here. I have speeds, obviously, but in general, this is like my club. If I DJ at a club that I normally DJ at, I'll pretty much stay in this Latin last week folder and then just add to it as I'm DJing the whole night. But all bangers. All bangers. All bangers. So, in case you were wondering, yeah, I'm a real DJ. I really do DJ. You know, a lot of people know, but a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't. Either they just missed me over the pandemic, so they didn't see, or they never get a chance to see, what it is that I'm doing. But yes, I am a working full-time DJ. That is what I do. And I love every minute of it. So again, this works for me. I'm not saying that it's going to work for you. Specifically because for me, in general, like if you look at, let me go back up to my top folder here, my adult folder. If you are just a regular DJ and you start playing from my list, this may not make sense to you. You know, to have, Sweet Dreams, and then Owl City Good Times, Hotel Room Service, like none of that may make sense to you. But it makes sense to me, because to me, it's just a trash bin. This is all the heaters. I will adjust my playlist. I know there's tons of DJs out there that will have kind of like every party, I will do this. I'll start out with this song and I will go, from 1 to 25. That's not me. That's not me. I might have a starting track that I always use. It's kind of like, I remember seeing an interview with Lionel Richie, and they asked him, how do you make music? Like, how do you start composing? And he says, well, I always start by playing a G chord. I play a G chord, and then whatever comes out is what comes out. Always starts with G chord. Same way with DJing. You might have a song that you always start out with. Maybe it's this is how we do it. Maybe it's a get low or a usher low, whatever it is, that works. You might start off with that. And then you go from there, because you kind of need a litmus test to kind of figure out where your crowd is, because sometimes you'll start with something and it doesn't react, and you go somewhere else, it doesn't work. You go somewhere else, it doesn't work. And you just kind of keep going until you find whatever frequency that crowd is operating at. because every crowd operates at a different frequency. And I don't just mean every crowd. I mean every crowd. You could have the same crowd 3 weeks in a row. I know this because I've done it. We had several people book us for bar mitzvahs, and they all kind of run into the same weeks, and I, for whatever reason, got unlucky, and I DJ'd for 3 weeks, same crowd, same venue, different client. When I tell you that in theory, it would make sense that you should be able to play what you played the time before and people will go off the same. That's in theory. That's not the way it works. In reality, the crowd was completely different. So I had to completely change up everything because they weren't reacting to the music that I was playing. Same music they were jumping their asses off the night before, the week before. Every crowd, when you put them together, are different. Let's see here. Your crate's got a, what does that say here? Barricade says your crate's got to fit your area of your crowd, so the DJs play more blues and Latin music. I mean, you're getting granular. I don't even think it has to do with that. I think you, as the DJ, are going to set your crates up however your mind works. I got the same music in here that, say, my partner does. When my partner touches my computer, he struggles with it. Countdown to goodness. Oh, look, I only have 15 minutes left and this thing's going to crash on me because it's going to restart. I got to restart my computer all the time. I have 15 minutes left. But in general, yes, it has to work for you. And this works for me. Like, I don't have every routine and every mix I've ever done because, like, it's internalized in me now. So I can pull up music from the 50s all the way through now without needing a folder. Like, I can legitimately go through that. And my partner's always like, I don't know how you do it. I can't do that. Like, he's got his stuff and the set list is going. He's got his 1 through 30, and that's how he goes every time, and it works for him. Everybody's different. I literally have my crates by genre and then by year and energy. So King Briggs, I'm glad that works for you. For me, that would drive me insane. I understand genre, and I understand genre, and I don't do years. I do decades, because I'm not going to have a 2001 to 2010, a whole bunch of folders. That would drive me nuts. The era is the era. So for me, 2000s is like the Little John era, with some mixed in with some T-Pain. So you can keep all those in there in one folder for me. Whatever works for you is what works for you. Okay. All right. JTech in the building. Scott Frost. I don't set up predefined playlists and crates. I use finders to search all my music because it's super fast, and then I drag an attractor. It's more fun to sing it, at least for me. Yeah. See, that's another thing. Scott, I am so glad that works for you. That would be a nightmare for me. That would be an absolute nightmare. I don't need everything to be in crates to do my job, but I do need them to have some sort of a balance for me. But that's what I'm saying. That's the funny thing about how we DJ. Everybody DJs, everybody's mind sorts things differently. It's so different. And that's why I don't like when people try to tell you this is how you create your crates. This is how you do your playlist. Because not everybody's the same. No, nowhere near the same. So it's good to have references. It's good to have that, but like in general, you got to make the crates how you got to make the crates. I mean, that's it. You have to do it that way. Yeah, Latin is a broad label. Yes. So Because I mean, I've done parties where somebody will walk up and say, "Hey, can you play some Latin music?" You start playing Latin. You're like, "No, no, 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 no. Can you play this?" You're like, "Oh, you wanted cumbia. Oh, you wanted reggaeton. Oh, you wanted salsa." And don't ever have a person come up to you and ask you to play salsa, and then you play cumbia. Just say you don't know what the hell you're doing right then and there, because that's what they hear when you play the track. Anyway, okay. Email profile, I don't care. It is what it is. It's not that it's not it's got me completely focused. I can see it on the screen here. I'm looking at myself. But if the neon is always a weak spot of pretty much any camera. Like just there, that it just happened just then. But I'm not going to worry about that. It is what it is. Would you rather me worry about my camera or drop some knowledge? And the reason why that you're seeing the camera go out of focus every so often has nothing to do with the camera. It's me. I'm a hand mover. I move my hands a lot, and it can mess up the camera because the camera knows that this is this. So the camera is trying to keep up with me. But me doing all this, anybody ever watch America World Police? It's the puppet one from the guys who did South Park. And they're like, well, we need a sign if you're in trouble. He's like, if I'm in trouble, I'll just do this. And there's a whole skit behind it. It's hilarious. So that's what I think about when I do this. Okay. Affluence. Best programs to clean Mac free up junk or protocols. Best program to clean Mac, free up junk, or protocols to keep the computer running quickly, other than deleting old songs. Delete your videos. It's typically not your songs. It's usually your media. It's your videos that are sucking the life out of your computer. It's your downloads where you keep every single download. I mean, check your download folder. There's probably a whole bunch of trash in there. Guaranteed. But for me, I just personally just get a bigger hard drive. It's a mess. Get a bigger hard drive. I mean, I do delete out all of my stuff comes from video work. Like I'll go look and I'll have like a terabyte and a half of just video stuff. So I do have a hard drive now that I slide everything over to save some space. But there are tons of programs out there. Mixmaster G has some cleanup programs. Check his stuff out. There's just a lot of good stuff out there. Okay. Couple more because my clock is ticking. I remember you said clone your laptop to another laptop for your son and he organized his playlist to his own style. Actually, I didn't say that. I said I did a clone of my crates and now he sounds just like me because my folders are gold and he just went to town. That's what I said. So I got a little annoyed like, hey man, get your own shit. Learn your own style. But it's fine. He's my son. That's why people are like, can you just clone your crate? I'm like, well, look, I mean, no. My son is as far as it goes to me help people out. I'll send you music. If somebody's like, oh, hey, you played this one song, I'll Dropbox it to you. I don't care. Again, learn facts. It does not matter what music you give to somebody else. It doesn't matter. They are going to play it how they play it or not play it how they play it. It does not change. It doesn't change. Everybody plays music differently. And that's just facts. So do you. Let's get out of this adversarial role where we think that, if somebody has your secret track that you got from Headliner Music Club, that, oh my God, they're going to take that gig from me. I don't think it's that one song. I don't think it's that one song that lost you your gig. If you need to justify, maybe. I don't think that's what it is. Do you think it's better to hold off on buying an S11 until Pioneer makes an updated version for stems? I don't think that. I don't think that you're going to see stems on mixers. No, let me back up. I'm sure they will come. When they will come, completely different situation. Because right now, you can just map your stems to your loop roll or to your slicer, which that's a new thing. When they first came out, you couldn't stem over your slicer, and that was frustrating as hell. Now that you can do that, oh, it's so much better because I use my loop roll. I like my loop roll. But I mean, right now the options are already there. So if you're talking about dedicated buttons, maybe. I don't know that we're going to see it for a while, especially on battle mixers. There's already a very limited amount of space on battle mixers to begin with. So I'm having a hard time believing where they would put it. I mean, they would have to extend this to say here, so you could have your buttons up top, somewhere around there, because everything else on this board is being used. I mean, the best situation would be to allow the damn screen to be able to be used. I mean, it is a touch screen, so why can't I just hit the stem button? Puffy in the building. What's going on, fam? Good to see you. Speaking of good DJs, that's Puffy. Puffy's an amazing DJ. Pretty sure not every song he's ever mixed is in key. All right, I got 4 more minutes before my computer shuts down. This is good. I think I'm going to put timers on all my shows. That way it'll just crash. I'll be like, I can't do it anymore. Computer's off. So, thanks for hanging out. A couple more questions, then we're going to get out of here. By the way, people always ask, do you DJ on YouTube? I don't personally DJ on YouTube just because, I want to keep, I just want to make sure that I don't cause stupid reasons to do that. But Puffy DJs on YouTube all the time, and his sets are always dope. I mean, DJs on Twitch too, but go check out his sets. He does them live. They're amazing. Enjoy. Puffy, you gonna be at NAMM this year? Coming to NAMM? I mean, I assume you're going to what's it called? Scam Artists. But are you going to NAMM? Anyway, if so, we'll get together. YouTube will take you down quickly. Not as quickly as you think. Let's see here. Okay, last couple of questions. Wonder who will make the first stems on a mixer. But why? You get what I'm saying? Like, why do we need it? No NAMM for you. All right, then next, I'll see you in a couple months then. I know Puffy's been jet setting. He's been all over the place touring. I mean, in reality, I think in general, there's already enough things out there. And if you're using like Rain 12s, the reloops, they already got the pads on there. So you could just map the pads to your stems. So you still wouldn't need them on the actual mixer. So dope. All right, Puffy, I'll see you there. But in general, I think, but yeah, who will come out with them first? If I were a betting man, I'd probably see. The problem is even with like Pioneer DJ, I mean, until they can find a way to put stems on thumb drives, I don't think it's necessary to have them on a mixer. I think it's just, I mean, if anything, we'd probably see it on an in music product before we saw it on a Pioneer DJ product, as far as the mixer is concerned. Tractor stems will launch soon using isotope stems tech. What's Tractor? Oh, I kid. These are all just jokes. Carlo would be so mad at me. All right. So everybody, because it's 12:28 and this computer is going to shut down at 12:30, I want to leave it on a clean level. Make sure you guys are following me on all of my socials, especially Instagram and TikTok, Cleveland Terry with an underscore. I will be back. I will probably be DJing on Twitch probably tonight or sometime during the day. And I'm moving over, starting to build my kick following. We'll see how that works. And then we'll go from there. But besides that, as always, thanks for hanging out today, people. I appreciate you. As always, let me go to my vlog music here. Make sure you hit that like button before you leave. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk soon. Peace.